Hey everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner and I have a returning guest in the corner. Would you like to unveil your secret identity to the masses?
This is Gwendoline Yeo, Plate Pain, and Final Fantasy X-2, of which releases today in HD with a special box set with Final Fantasy X in HD as well.
What a perfect guest to have on today because it comes out today. I have to say, we've gotten Final Fantasy guests on the show before and we can never get them the day of. It's always impossible. So thank you for being the first.
But that's awesome! Yeah. I was like, we're gonna make this work. Cause yeah, it's special. It's a special day.
It is very
Happy Final
special.
Fantasy X-2 Day.
Oh, I like that better than St. Patty's Day.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Instead of having to go out on the strip because I live in Las Vegas and get drunk, I can just sit at home and play Final Fantasy and get drunk.
Las Vegas, that's funny. I'm actually looking at my green Yoda shirt that says, try not, do, or do not. There is no try.
That's perfect.
I was not going to wear this today, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's way too nerdy, but that's okay.
It's okay. We're all geeks here. It's fine. It's perfect.
Yeah, okay, cool.
But but no, what I really like the fact that we get to talk to you again because your character is very interesting just due to the fact that she's only in Final Fantasy X too, and
Right.
she's got like this really interesting past to her. You know, she's
Yeah.
she's not one-dimensional whatsoever.
Yeah, actually, yeah. It's I went to a gaming convention. I've only been to two in Dallas a couple of weeks back, and what was really cool, one of my fan friends, as they would say, I've met so many cool people through social media, and she's in video game school with another girlfriend of hers, and they all came out to support, and she was like, you know what, I was inspired by that game she said when she was like 13 or 14 or something, and she said because the female characters were so strong, and that Pain seemed to have some pain in her past, and I think I similarly did, as Gwendolyn, and I think I was able to just understand that I think people who are raised with, who go through something kind of humble, they become more mature or kind of more intriguing, as they grow up. And they're trying to sort of right past wrongs or protect others so that they don't go through the same pain that they did. And I think that there really is that depth in that storyline when she's at the end trying to really protect Riku and Yuna. And when we recorded the international mission, which was brand new, and we couldn't even talk about it for the longest time, but I was so excited because it really is the time that Pain gets to actually talk. Like, she's actually quite verbose for the first time, because, and it's a really heartfelt message that she has with her two quote-unquote sisters, and it was amazing to record. It was really cool.
Now, I have to ask, and I can understand if you don't remember, but do you remember if you guys re-recorded any lines for it, or did you just go and do the additional missions?
We just did the additional mission, I think. Let me think. I don't remember that part of it. We might have been asked to do some pickups, but I don't quite remember. But we definitely did the whole last mission, and I don't remember about pickups. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's fine. I was just
Yeah,
curious because going back and playing those games today, especially if you're
yeah.
playing the older versions, a lot of lines were like sped up or slowed down because those were like the first Final Fantasies that had a voice cast. So technology wasn't quite there yet.
Right. Such a good point. That's such a good point. I'm trying to think. You're probably right, that they were playing sequences where we might have had to pump up or pump down certain things. Thank you for reminding me. I think so. I can't commit, but I think so because they had to. Because when I watched a little bit of what they had, it sounded so good, and it looked amazing. So yeah.
It must be so neat to be able to see that series. It was out so many years ago and it's gotten like a rework essentially. And it's like, oh my God, it's like I'm playing something new again.
Yeah, that was my first really big video game get. I'd only started acting maybe a couple of years, like a year before that. So to book something that huge and to be trusted with that, it was such a thrill. And it really was one of the probably top five gigs of my life. I mean, across TV and film and all of that. I think because the director, Jack Fletcher, was just so good, and the writing was so great. And it was almost like shooting a movie. And we had, gosh, I probably had at least 50 sessions. Usually with games now, you do 1 or 2 sessions, and cartoons, you do it as a radio play. But this was really, they put so much energy into this, and thought, and writing. And there was a Japanese translator that flew out, and it was awesome. It was a really awesome experience. And even now, I wish social media existed back then, because I would have been able to reach a lot more of the fans then. So I'm hoping that this will at least revive some newer fans, and also sort of for someone like you, kind of give it a revisit and get to know the characters, and and have a conversation with me or Hetty or Tara about it, and just get into it. Because I think that story always trumps all, and it was such a relief to hear that from the fans in Dallas, and to hear that from you when we spoke during our pre-interview, that just to have strong women characters in a game can actually inspire others. And you saw the Kate Blanchett Academy Award speech, that that just because there are women in it doesn't mean it can't be a hit game.
Oh, exactly. And the thing I like about that, part of the Final Fantasy series is the girls don't necessarily have to be like Butch, essentially, to be hardcore. They can still be feminine in certain ways. I mean, their costumes sometimes are extremely feminine, which to me is great. I love that.
Yeah, her costume. That one's for the boys, probably.
It's okay. I like it too. Haters gonna hate.
It's a cosplay, I guess. At one time he was like, "Do you look exactly like your character?" I was like, "No, Pain is way hotter. Her legs are way longer." But,
and that hairdo must be hard to do in the morning.
Wait, say that again.
That hairdo of hers must be hard to do in the morning.
Yeah, right. Actually, a sort of a friend of mine, friend who I met actually at my first con, like, she was like, "I'm going to cosplay you," and she has that kind of like big bangs in the front, and she held it up, and I'm like, so you just basically kind of need like a fro, like big bangs in the front, and spray it all up, and you can have that going. There's something about Mary kind of look that you understand a reference to, but that's fine.
No, I do. I think that's hilarious. What's also really funny for me, I'm still waiting for my copy to come in. Ordered it from Amazon. It's coming in on the 21st, the 22nd. Me and my cousin are actually having a race for when we get it, to see who can platinum it first. Now, I'm not sure how much of a game.
I love that.
Yeah, so we're trying to see if we can do all the extra stuff for both games and who can get to it first. So I'm hoping that I can get the edge up on her, because I've played the game, like Final Fantasy X, longer than she has, but she's better at Blitzball. I suck at that game.
Yeah, people talk about Blitzball. I'm like, that's hard. That is hard. How long did it take you to get through it the first time, the whole game?
Well, the first one I can get through in about 25 hours.
Yeah.
The second one, you have to play at least twice if you want the 100%. So in your first run through, it's going to take you, I think, like, oh gosh. So I would say like 15 hours on your first run through, and then 30 on your second is how I would.
Oh, I'm super excited. You have to message me and let me know what you thought of last mission, like when it finally plays out.
I will totally do that. I'm very excited to see some continuation to the story, because I just feel like it kind of needed it in a way, and it's kind of a how should I say it? It's sort of a comeuppance for like the fans who have been waiting so patiently. Like, yes.
Yeah, it's almost like it needed closure,
Definitely.
Like a level of closure, with the girls. So and it's I miss working with these characters too. I think I mean obviously off mic, Tara and Hetty are super cool, and also on mic that when we really got into our characters, and even though we recorded most of it separately, it was just extremely specific, and I could tell those other women were just doing awesome work as well. So it was just so cool to play with them, on screen and off screen as well.
Well, you never know. There's a Kingdom Hearts 3 coming along, so maybe the fairy versions of you guys will appear. You never know.
That was so funny. Yeah, like when we did that, I was like, are we kind of like bouncy? I was like, how come our feet are so big? And it was really cute, and like we're like little dangling little things. I was like, that is so cute. Yeah, it was super cute. Hopefully they'll bring us back a series. We'll see.
I hope so, but it seems like you're getting quite a few video game roles. I believe your latest role was actually in the Deadpool game, which was a really, I thought it was received pretty well. I saw a lot of talk of it in the IRC, our live chat.
Oh, that's so cool. The fans helped me get that job. Isn't that crazy? I played Domino in Wolverine and the X-Men, the cartoon series with Steve Bloom and everyone else you could possibly think of, Liam O'Brien and Tara. And so then, like, we were just also, like, dumbfounded when they pulled the series, just dumbfounded because we were having such a good time on that show. It was one of the best jobs I ever had in voiceover. So yeah, like people were like, bring them back, bring Domino back. And I also played Mariko, and I contributed to Master Mold. I was that too, and so one of the fans tweeted me. He's like, hey, the Drink a Deadpool game, there's a Domino in there. He's like, you should go do it. And I was like, really? So I emailed my agent, and she emailed them, and then the fans tweeted them, and the production was like, yeah, totally. And so they reached out to me and offered me the job. Isn't that cool?
That is super insane. So I want this to be a lesson for the fans out there that you guys can make a difference. I'm not telling you to send threatening emails to any agent or production company, but showing your
Right.
support can get something done. I love that that happened.
Yeah, it meant a lot to me that people cared. And I mean, you guys know more about when things are coming out than I am. Like, usually I'm like, wait, when's it coming out? So, I have, a small group of fans who I'm closer to, and they just, like, keep me abreast. And, I never underestimate youth, just because someone might be 10 years younger than me doesn't mean that they know any less than me. In fact, I might know more. So I learn a lot from the fans as well. And it's been one of the most rewarding things about doing video games is the fan base and how loyal they are and trusting they are and how helpful they are. It's been cool. Like, I've found some cool, like, fan friendships, like, if that makes any sense, and it means a lot to me.
No, it does make sense. And I feel like as a fan, when you watch some sort of, media and the voice actor for one of your favorite character changes, you notice. You can't get over it. You're like, oh man, like there's something that's off. And
Yeah.
so I'm glad that so many people pulled together to ensure that that happened. So kudos to the fans and kudos to you.
Yeah, thank you. And, and before that, I did, what did I do? Oh, yeah, Liam O'Brien actually directed me in Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. So, and that did really, really well. That came out right before Deadpool. And I don't know whether you're big fans of that at all, but it was super weird and cool to do kind of like a horror game. And that was received really well also. So, yeah, I really do love playing. I mean, like, doing a lead in a video game is just awesome, and people kind of, like, enjoy the character, and that I just love that, because people say, is there anything different between voice acting and on-camera acting? And essentially, I really say no, because it's about character and story, like, is the writing good or not? Do I believe what I'm doing, as the team good to work with? So it's been such a privilege.
Well, I will say with Resident Evil that's a really interesting character. I believe it's Four Eyes, and not only is she unique in the game, but I think she's just really has a cool like character design.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of only see half her face, but yeah, she's legit, and she's kind of she gets off on information and science. And my brother is actually a molecular geneticist in England, and he found one of the mutated obesity genes. And so it was like I kind of channeled him a little bit. And my dad's a doctor, my sister's a pediatrician, and I just come from a very scientific family. And I'm like, hey, look, I'm in games. And so I think they kind of dig the fact that it's my brother loves that I do this stuff. And even with Star Wars, when I was on the Clone Wars series, and I brought my brother to the Skywalker Ranch, I was so proud, because I think people don't really understand what we do as actors, and especially, of course, with our families. They wanted to do something more stable and, be a doctor or lawyer. And when I brought my brother out there, he just lost it when he saw the Yoda fountain and, the lifesavers from the actual movies, like in those, in the walls. And Dave Filoni, who directed me in the series, like, we gave him a private screening, and my brother was like, oh my god, I just felt him turn, and just him being so proud of what I do, and kind of understanding that entertainment is so important to people. It's escapism. It makes us happy. It makes lonely people feel less lonely. It makes, people who are more shy, loud, as a screaming at the video game screen, and it gets to connect people. So it was super cool that happened. And so with Four Eyes, I'm able to talk to, him a lot more about what I'm up to, and now he kind of gets it, and that feels really good.
No, I can understand that. I mean, I've been doing this for about almost 5 years now, which is insane to think about. But initially in the
Right,
beginning, my mom's like, "Oh, she's just doing that Pikachu thing. She'll, it's a phase. She'll get out of it." So when
right,
they
right,
when they
right.
hear me in like any sort of commercial or anything, they're like, "Oh, it's not a phase anymore." Like it's starting to click for them, so I can totally relate.
Yeah, and it'll continue to click, and and also that obviously we don't live our lives for them, and we do something that pleases ourselves because it's about your calling and your desire. So I'm proud of you that you've done this for 5 years, to just keep going with it and trusting your gut with it, and that's something I always have to check in with myself, like. Oh, like is it, because every time you hit a higher tier, it's the same climb, you're like, oh, is it enough? Have I pushed myself hard enough? What's next? So I just try to, it's a constant practice to stay true to what I love and just enjoy what I'm doing in that moment.
Oh yeah, I can totally relate, and thank you for saying that you're proud of me. That makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. But for the listeners out there, are there any other projects that are coming up, whether it's anime or animation or live action, that you want to pimp out to them?
Well, I did an awesome movie that was released last year, and it did really well on Netflix. You can watch it on Netflix now. In national distribution and domestic distribution, you can get it like Best Buy and all that. It's called Heathens and Thieves, and it's live action. And I actually helped to, in a way, produce it from the behind the scenes. I helped to cast, bring a couple of people that I really respected onto the project, like Don Swayze, who's Patrick Swayze's brother, who I also worked with Patrick on his series The Beast before he passed. And it's an independent movie, and it's a Western, and I play, a woman in the late 1800s who was trying to own property back then. And, of course, the white people come on horses and, try to steal and kill and all of that. But it was an exceptional experience, a great cast, great directors, great writing. So, but it's on the indie, kind of dark, fun fatale side. But I did win 2 Best Actress awards for it at the International Houston Film Festival and the Iowa Landmarked Film Festival. I mean, I was so stunned. I just hope people would have received it well, and they really did. So I'm super proud of it. It might not be the genre for everybody, but it's worth checking out. It's on Netflix. It's free-ish.
Hey, anytime I see a cowboy film, I'm like, I'm a history buff. I would love to watch it. So I think there are people like me that exist.
Oh gosh, that's awesome. And also, well, it's so funny. I've done like 3 period pieces. The big Western I did was with Robert Duvall and Thomas Hayden Church was my love interest, and that was in 2005. You can probably get that off of Amazon or, I don't know, Blockbuster. Does that still exist? I don't know. But it's called Broken Trail. Or you can hit my website, GwendolineYeo.com, and most of my, it just got launched a month ago, and all my blah, blah, blah sort of credits are on there. You can see what interests you. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of the Heathens and Thieves movie that's on Netflix. And one of my favorite episodes, guest stars that I did, was Chuck. And the episode of Chuck versus the Sizzling Shrimp is where I play this like spy from China. I do a lot of my own stunts, and the whole thing is about me trying to save my brother. It was just an awesome episode. So look for that. And I have stuff coming up, but there's so many NDAs now, especially with video games. It's really hard to talk about, and I understand. I totally understand. But something might be in the works for me that's super cool, and that might take me over to Canada to do some work there. So, we'll just have to let it unfold, and maybe we'll have to do this again.
Well, we would love to have you back on, but for the fans that want to keep track of all this stuff, I'm sure you'll post updates on your Twitter and Facebook, correct?
Yes. Yes, my Twitter is at Gwendoline Yeo, and my name is super hard to spell. It's just like, but it's at Gwendoline Yeo. And just go to my website, www.gwendolinyeo.com. Like, my fan page and my Twitter is all on there, so that's probably the best place to start. And then you can And you can always write me. I'm super responsive with my fans because they mean a lot to me. So feel free to always tweet me or ask me questions, you know. Oh, and also Star Wars Clone Wars, you know, that just ended, but they're re-releasing like season, I think, 6, but onto Netflix, and really, really great arcs. And I played about 4 or 5 really cool characters. So I don't know whether there's any sort of Clone Wars geeks out there, but I play like an Asian Jedi, Khalifa, a Kaminoan, this whole prime minister, and I'll say, and then Kato Parasiti, who's a bounty hunter, and all this stuff. So I don't know, just peruse and check it out. But I'd love to have you guys follow me on Twitter and like me on my fan page and say hi. It would mean the world to me.
Well, I have to say there's definitely a plus to having a hard name to spell because at least nobody else has your name.
No, this is true. This is true. So I think if you just sort of phonetically spell it out, like I'll come out, and you'll help them, right? Just when you post your thing, just make sure my spelling is right. I'd so
Yes,
appreciate
we
it.
posted the links in our live chat, and we'll probably post them on Twitter and Facebook after the interview is over, just in case you guys, want to follow her, which I highly suggest because her tweets are very entertaining.
Have you been following me all the time?
I have been following you since 2010, I think.
Okay, okay. I respect that. You got to give me a shout out and say hi.
I should. I really should. But for,
Um, Go ahead.
but I was just gonna say, but for the fans out there, is there anything else you want to tell them? Any words of wisdom, dating advice, predictions for the end of the world?
Wow. Dating advice. Dating advice, you have a long time. Don't be desperate, and if you get hurt, it's okay. There's a better one out there for you. I would say, like, trust your gut, you know? Even when I was young, like, this is what I wanted to do, and here I am doing it. So trust your gut, and don't be afraid to talk about things, you know, with your friends and your fears, or if you're not sure. It really helps out to talk it out with people. In terms of saving the world, I just hope that people are kinder to each other, you know, and sometimes it gets hard when you meet someone who's like not kind, or, you know, in the business it can be tough sometimes. So I just try to, stay true to my character no matter what happens, no matter how much success you have, to stay grounded and just know that at any moment it could be taken away. And at any moment, it really doesn't matter because it's really about love and the friends that you have and the joy that you have. So I hope everyone's not asleep by now.
No, I think it's amazing advice, and I gotta say thank you so much for joining us for a second time. It was a pleasure to talk with you again.
It's the same with you. So nice to talk to with you.
And for any of the fans out there that missed any of this interview, don't fret. You can find it on the website within the next few days, so keep your eyes peeled to 918thefan.com and your ears tuned to 91.8 The Fan, where we play everything you want and nothing you don't.